With Hashem's love and grace, this is Lazer Brody from the Chut Shel Chesed Yeshiva Nachal City of Yerushalayim with another one of our Emunah series lessons based on the teachings of our esteemed and beloved Rabbi and spiritual guide, Rabbi Shalom Arush. May Hashem bless him always. So may the words of my mouth and meditations of my heart be gratifying to Hashem, and may everyone that hears today's lesson have a good feeling of inner peace and increased happiness. And we're talking about increased happiness in today's lesson. Today's lesson is entitled Genuine Smile. The genuine smile, this is a time of the year, coming the high holidays, people interpret them completely wrong, where fear. But we go above the fear, and we connect to Hashem with love, and it puts a smile on our face. So we're going to discuss exactly how to have a smile on our face. By the way, since this week we don't read a Torah portion, this coming Shabbat is Yom Kippur. The first half of our lesson will concentrate on the Emunah side, and the second half of our lesson, instead of we'll usually have a mini lesson on the week's Torah portion, we'll be talking about Yom Kippur, preparing yourself for Yom Kippur. Okay, so we're talking about the genuine smile. How do we have a genuine smile on our face? That's sincere, that comes from the illumination of the soul. Not a plastic smile, a cosmetic smile. We're talking about when someone is really happy, and they have the inner peace, they feel the happiness, they feel the connection to Hashem. A smile comes from true happiness. The genuine smile comes from true happiness. True happiness comes from the soul. And the only way to have true happiness is to have a connection to Hashem. And today we're going to talk about how to connect to Hashem. And connecting to Hashem, that's our ultimate purpose on earth. Whatever we're doing should be with the orientation of connecting to Hashem. Whatever a Jew does on earth. If he's a doctor, if he's a lawyer, if he's a truck driver, if he's a Torah student, whatever he does, his ultimate orientation is to connect to Hashem. There's all different ways of connect to Hashem. We all have different paths in life. Each one of us has a separate path in life. The Gemara in Tractate Psachim explains just that each hair follicle in the human body has its own pore, that it gets its nourishment from. Every person has his or her own path in life. And that means a couple of great things. First of all, you shouldn't be jealous about anyone because you have your own path and you have your own destiny, your own destination. Second, you should never worry about your parnasa, your income. You're not competing with anyone. Just as Hashem gives every single hair follicle its source, it has its own pore which gets its own nourishment. Hashem gives every single person their own source, their own nourishment. You're not competing with anyone. You're not dependent on anyone. We're all dependent on Hashem only. Ein od milvado. There's no one but Hashem. And just knowing that, the three words in Hebrew, Ein od milvado, there's no one but Hashem, that's enough to put a smile on our face. Rabbi Nachman uses the language of warning. Rabbeinu is here, it says in Likutei Moharan. Rabbeinu warns us. What did he warn us about? Maybe we're thinking about the three worst before her Yom Kippur, the three worst sins in the Torah that a person must give his life for and not transgress, God forbid. It's just bloodshed, illicit sex, and idolatry. These are three worst sins. It's called Yereg v'Bal Yavo. A person should die and not commit them. No, Rabbeinu, he didn't warn us about any one of these three things. I say maybe Rabbeinu warned us about keeping the Shabbat. You know that if Jewish people would keep 2 Shabbatot in a row, we'd right away be redeemed. That's the Gemara in Tractate Shabbat tells us. No, Rabbeinu. What does Rabbeinu warn us about? Rabbeinu warns us that we should be happy all the time. I say, what kind of language is that? How can Rabbeinu point his finger at us, shake his finger at us, and warn us that we have to be happy? Why did Rabbi Nachman do that? You have to understand the evil inclination. Like in the army, know the enemy. You can't fight the enemy if you don't know him. You don't know his strengths and weaknesses. In order to fight the evil inclination, we have to have good intel. We have to know who the enemy is. Okay, the evil inclination is not so much interested in making a person commit a sin. And he's always tempting a person to temptation to commit a sin. The evil inclination, that's secondary. What he wants the post-transgression depression. That's what he wants. He wants you on your face. Where you upset at yourself. Oh, how do I do this? And I can't function. And when a person is depressed, he can't learn Torah, and he can't pray. The person that's depressed doesn't feel like opening up a siddur. A person that's sad and depressed doesn't feel like getting out of bed in the morning. He can't do anything. He's neutralized. This is what the Yetzer wants. Now you're neutralized, you're down for the 10 count, that's it. The transgression was only a means to get a person on the boards, on the floor. Completely out of the game. When a person doesn't get on his feet, he's out of the game. He can't function. Okay, this is why Rabbeinu warned that we have to be in simcha. We have to be in joy. We have to maintain joy. So a person says, wait a second. What do you want me to walk around with a plastic smile on my face like some kind of nincompoop? I don't feel good. He says, don't feel good. So we're going to talk about, okay, it's fine. We have to be honest about ourselves. We have to know exactly who we are. Let's not fool ourselves. But now we'll talk about how to feel good. This lesson, today's lesson, repeating a lesson that Rav Shalom gave on the 27th of Elul, 2 days before Erev Rosh Hashanah, one of the lessons he gave in Uman, and this is a landmark lesson that everyone needs to know. We said this lesson in Hebrew in front of a couple thousand people in Uman, so this is something we've got to broadcast all over the world. Everybody needs to know. So why are we not happy? Okay, what does it mean to be happy? Let's first of all preface. Rabbi Nachman says, Mitzvah gedoyla liot b'simcha. It's a tremendous mitzvah to be happy always. Why? Because when a person is happy, a person is connected to Hashem. You have to understand there are two words that are completely synonymous. One is holiness and one is happiness. The Arizal explains all through Kabbalah, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai explains all through the Zohar that wherever one has holiness, one has happiness. There is no such thing as genuine happiness in an environment that's devoid of holiness. The opposite goes true. Okay. Wherever there is debauchery, there's sadness and depression. Rabbi Nachman explains it. Rabbi Nachman explains that many emotional problems, in fact, not only neuroses, psychoses, says Rabbi Nachman, result from debauchery and a lack of personal holiness. So if a person wants to help not only his physical health and his mental health, but his spiritual health, he should strive for personal holiness. Okay. So Rebbe says, and the second part, if you could read this and learn this on the inside, our material is based on Likutei Moran, the second part, Torah 24. And the Rebbe says that one should overcome and distance himself from sadness, depression, and melancholy with all his power. And then the Rebbe says something landmark. He says every kol cholat, he says every disease that afflicts a person, it comes to a person because of a breakdown of happiness. You know what that means? That means that the body and the soul, they work closely together. Today in medicine, there's such thing as what's called a medical clown. People that they go in the hospital, they dress up, and they've gone courses to become medical clowns. And they walk around in hospitals, they're going from room to room, and they make the patients laugh. Because like they say, the expression says laughter is the best medicine. See, the Yetzer doesn't want us to talk about it. See, now here comes the sirens, happens all the time. Here, now, whatever's going on in Yerushalayim, 7-alarm fire, sirens. Just don't talk about happiness and don't talk about holiness. Okay, but that's all right. We know the Yetzer will continue anyway. We can talk about whatever we want. The laws of Yom Kippur won't bother us. Talk about being happy? No, this the Yetzer doesn't want. Because if you're happy, you're connected to Hashem. So Rabbi Nachman says that every disease, this is mind-boggling, every disease comes from a breakdown of a person's happiness, which means that when a person is happy, his whole immune system is stronger. His immune system has a better capability of retarding disease organisms. It's amazing. And the Rebbe elaborates on this and connects it to personal holiness. So the Rebbe concludes and he says that a person must gather all his power to be happy always, because it's a person's natural inclination to be sad and melancholy, for melancholy to overcome a person. This is what we explained several months ago when we gave our lesson on material gravity and spiritual gravity. Material gravity brings a person down. If we take any object and we drop it, brings a person right down. Okay? Same thing. If a person follows the inclinations of the body has a natural inclination to pull a person down, being depressed. Spiritual gravity goes the exact way up. What is the finest, sublime part of materialism? It's a flame. A flame is like the cross between material and the spiritual world. Okay? And a flame already flickers up. A flame doesn't fall down. It flickers up. And just a flame flickers up, the soul all the time. Why does a Jew rock back and forth? Naturally, when he's praying, he can't even stop. He doesn't control. Even sure, man, woman. See a woman the way she's lighting candles. She looks like a man in shul. She rocks back and forth. Why? King Solomon said, Ner Hashem nishmas Adam, that the human soul is a tiny candle of Hashem. And just as a candle flickers, the soul inside us, that it yearns to go up and merge with the great fire, which is Hashem's light, it rocks back and forth inside us. We feel that's our neshama. And that's why we rock back and forth. With Yiddish, they call it shuckling. That they shuckle back and forth while we're davening. Okay? Because it yearns to be in Hashem. It yearns to go up. So the spiritual gravity pulls us up. So let's ask ourselves, why aren't we happy? And what does make us happy? First of all, what's divine light? What's divine light? You see, what's the difference between divine light and sunlight? Sunlight is not divine light. Sunlight is natural energy, comes from the fire of the sun. The sun is very hot, even though it's 93 million miles away from the earth. But it's so hot, and it spreads its ultraviolet and infrared rays all the way to planet Earth and all over our solar system. Okay? Closer to the sun, the hotter it is. In Mercury and Venus, it's much more hotter than it is on Earth. And Saturn and Pluto and Neptune, they're further away, they're colder, they're further away from the sun's light. That's not divine light. Divine light is the light that the Torah talks about that was created in the 7 days of creation before the fourth day when the sun and the moon were created. Divine light has been put aside for the tzaddikim, for the righteous, for time to come. But we can plug into divine light. How do we plug into divine light? What is divine light? Divine light is a mitzvah, a commandment of Torah. The Torah doesn't give us 613 commandments in order to limit ourselves and to make our life full of restrictions. No, the Torah gives us 613 opportunities to cling to divine light. Because every mitzvah in the Torah is divine light. And it corresponds, the 613 mitzvahs correspond to the 613 parts of our body. 248 positive mitzvahs correspond to our 248 limbs, and the 365 negative mitzvahs correspond to the 365 tendons in the body. Okay. By doing a mitzvah, we cling to divine light. When we cling to divine light, we cling to absolute utter holiness, which is absolute utter simcha. Joy. Okay. When a person does a mitzvah with joy, he's automatically happy. The Arizal, the holy Ari, said Rabbi Yitzchak Luria Ashkenazi, who's the father of Kabbalah. He lived in the 16th century in Tzfat. He said that he attained his lofty spiritual level only from doing his mitzvot with joy. He did his mitzvot with joy. That's it. Not because he was born with this lofty soul, and not because he was more intelligent than other people. There are many intelligent rabbis. He attained more than anyone else, he says about himself, because he did his mitzvot with joy. What did that achieve for him? Rav Shalom explains that when a person does a mitzvah, a person clings to divine light because that mitzvah is divine light. And you can prove it. If you look at Rabbi Zamir Cohen's book, The Revolution, a mapach, it's called in Hebrew. It's a big color album, very special book. You can buy it on www.breslev.co.il in the online store. There are Russian scientists, not Jewish scientists, that they created a special energy-sensitive camera that could photograph a person's chakra. and they photographed a person's halo, his chakra, before putting on tefillin and after putting on tefillin. And the colors are subdued before a person puts on tefillin in the morning. The person's chakra is subdued color. And once he puts on his tefillin, much more brighter light. You can see it. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's proven. This is non-Jewish scientists. You can see that the joy of a mitzvah has been caught. And we see one of the reasons that Hashem gives modern technology. The closer we get to Mashiach, the less a person has free choice. It's soon going to be apparent when Mashiach comes, it'll be apparent that clinging to a mitzvah is divine light. Now why do we all hope that the third temple will be built soon? We hope the Holy Temple in Yerushalayim. What's so special about the Holy Temple? The Holy Temple, and why is everyone so happy, especially 3 times a year, during Sukkot, during Shvuot, during Pesach, when we have to go to the Holy Temple? Every man in Israel is commanded to go to the Holy Temple and to bring his sacrifices and to make what's called an olat riyah, to make a special sacrifice for every yontif, and to come, and they all look forward to it because there's such joy. There's such joy. If a person would hear one time the 32-part harmony of the Levites, he couldn't listen to any other music in his life. It makes any other music terrible. Can't even believe. And why do we not miss the Holy Temple? Because we don't know we're missing. We're like children that are born in caves, and we've never seen the light of day. But the light, Hashem's light, is so bright. In the Beit HaMikdash, you can see right there, where we have the holy Kohanim, the holy priests, and they have a spirit of holiness. They can look at a person and tell that he sinned. He says, you need tshuva in this area, you need tshuva in this area. And the Levites the same way. The Levites, there are 2 types of Levites. There's some Levites that are singing, and there's some Levites that are gatekeepers. And the gatekeepers, as a person comes into the Beit HaMikdash, and he says, aha, I can see you came to give such and such a sacrifice. So how do you know? He said, it's obvious. I can see on your forehead. These are the Levites. It's amazing. Hashem's light is so bright. When you do a sacrifice to the Beit HaMikdash, no one leaves the Beit HaMikdash, the Holy Temple, without doing tshuva. It's right there, because Hashem's light is right there. But what Rav Shalom teaches us, according to the teachings of Rabbi Natan of Breslev and Likutei Halachot, that we don't have to be sad and depressed until they build the Beit HaMikdash. That each one of us can bring our personal redemption. How do we have our own Beit HaMikdash, our own Mikdash Be'at, our own mini Beit HaMikdash? The more we do our mitzvot with joy, then the more we cling to Hashem, the more we illuminate our souls with divine light. The more we illuminate our souls with divine light, the happier we are. Because the only thing that makes a neshama happy, makes a soul happy, is divine light. Nothing else. King Solomon says, the wisest man that ever lived, nefesh lo timaleh, that the soul will never be satisfied. What do you mean the soul will never be satisfied? The soul will never be, another word is satiated. You can't satiate the soul with anything other than divine light. If your favorite team wins the NFL championship, that's not going to make you happy. Maybe have a good time. If you drink a schooner of your favorite beer, that's not going to make you happy. That's a temporary good time, a temporary thrill. But once that wears off, sure, go back to being depressed as you were. Okay, maybe it's Sunday afternoon and your team won the Super Bowl, but tomorrow morning you're right back to work, right to the same problems. Okay? Doesn't make you happy. When you have divine light, you're happy no matter what. You're happy whatever you're doing. And you're illuminated, and you've got that genuine smile on your face that comes only from your connection to Hashem. So why are we not happy? The reason we're not happy is because we don't appreciate our mitzvot. We lack emunah. We don't appreciate the mitzvot. Because if we would appreciate the mitzvot and we would do them happily, then we'd cling to divine light and we'd be happy. If we realize the value of our mitzvot. Just I was walking back to the Breslev Israel office this afternoon from Mincha, and one of the guys from the Mir Yeshiva, he stopped, he said, Rabbi Lazer, can I ask you a question? I said, yeah, go right ahead. Come walk with me. So he says, tell me something. Is it a mitzvah to buy an expensive etrog? And I said, it depends on who you are. I said, everybody has to have a kosher etrog. Allah says what a kosher etrog is. But there's a difference between having a basically kosher etrog than having a beautiful etrog, which is called hadar. Hadar is extra beauty. First, you can have a basically simple etrog, that it's kosher, that it doesn't have blemishes that cull it out, that it doesn't have a broken pitam, it doesn't have a broken crown. Everything, it has all the parameters of a kosher etrog, but it can be simple. And they're also etrog, and they're not that expensive. But the question is, a rabbi cannot tell a person, go buy an expensive etrog. Just like a rabbi cannot tell a person, go do a certain mitzvah with that happiness. Same thing before Rosh Hashanah. People say, well, must I go to Uman? I said, you have to decide. You have to decide what it means to you, what it means to you to be by the tzaddik, what it means to you to be. You decide the value of the mitzvah. And since we are enabled to decide the value of the mitzvot, we can actually dictate to Hashem the reward we get for our mitzvot. Because if the mitzvot don't mean much to a person, then he doesn't get rewarded much. I'll give you an example. A person is praying shacharit. He's praying shacharit, and he sees a business associate that he wants to talk to about business. Now, if he succeeds in doing business with the associate, he's going to seal a $10,000 deal. So the guy decides that he's going to cut his Shmoneh Esrei short. He's going to say a little less in Shema Kolenu, what do you ask the Shem? He's going to finish his Shmoneh Esrei fast so he can run over and say a couple words to the other guy in shul. All right. So he has now established that the chance for making $10,000 is worth more than his Shmoneh Esrei and Shacharit. So he's got a price tag. His price tag of Shacharit is worth no more than $10,000. Okay, so he goes up at Shemaim, and he sees all these people that have been davening Shacharit all their lives in Shmoneh Esrei, and they're getting all these fantastic rewards. And he says, well, what are they getting these fantastic rewards and I'm getting a finite reward? Well, the heavenly court says to him, excuse me, sir, you put the price tag on that mitzvah. You put the price tag. You decided that it was more important to go do a $10,000 deal on the stock market or in investments than it was to finish the Shmoneh Esrei. Okay? So you therefore established that Shmoneh Esrei is not worth any more than $10,000. Because if it were worth more, you would have let him wait and you would have continued with your davening. The same thing with the Torah. A guy goes, a kollel guy or a shiva guy, and sees other people getting all these suns and moons, 310 worlds for their Torah study. And this guy gets a little bit of Torah study. He says, wait a second. He says, well, what's going on here? This is the world of truth. Why the discrimination? And they say, you young man, you remember when you answered telephone? You answered, you opened up your cell phone and you turned away from the Gemara. And you went away to the cell phone to handle a matter worth 500 shekels. And you wasted 5 minutes of Torah for 500 shekels. Okay? Which you decided that every minute of Torah is worth 100 shekels. Hey, your other guy, for every minute of his Torah is worth $1 million, not 100 shekels. So you established limits of your Torah. We do this all the time. We're not aware of what we do. And this is what I told the young man from the mirror. I said, I can't tell you what kind of esrog to buy. That you're going to buy, how much did you spend on an iPhone? The guys, Israeli guys, you don't see, Israeli yeshiva guys don't have iPhones. The Americans, they still walk around with iPhones. Okay, how much did you spend on your iPhone? So you can decide that your iPhone is worth more than your etrog? This you decide. You have to look, how much did you spend on your hat, or on your jacket, or on your tie? And now you regret spending the etrog. The etrog is a positive commandment to Torah, to have an etrog on Sukkot. You decide what it's worth to you. I can't tell you. There's an etrog that spend 50 shekels for an etrog. Even less. You can spend 30 shekels for an etrog. You can spend 500 shekels for an etrog. You decide what the mitzvah is worth to you. You decide your level of dedication. This is with everything. So still, we haven't answered the question, why aren't we happy? Because we don't realize what a mitzvah is. That a mitzvah is the light of Hashem. Now let me ask you a question. First, I'll ask our beloved sisters a question. How would you feel if something happened Friday night, you ran in the bomb shelter, who knows, there was an alarm, there was here, there's this, you did not have a chance to light Shabbos candles. You'd feel terrible. You'd feel terrible. The Shabbos went by, if you weren't in the hospital giving birth, and a woman that's giving birth, now she can't light Shabbos candles, she adds another candle for the rest of her life. This is the extent that Jewish women, they regard Shabbos candles. Okay, usually most women, the custom is for every child they add another candle. But this is the source of the custom. That the woman at the time, if she gave birth during lighting Shabbos candles, she wasn't exactly concerned with lighting Shabbos candles because she was going through pain that would kill a man. So if man had children, every man would have one child and that'd be it. Okay. And why do women give a sacrifice after they give birth to the base of Mikdash? Because everywhere during the time of birth, a woman is swearing she's never going to have another child. And then after, she's changed. So a person goes back on an oath. They have to give a sacrifice to release them from an oath. And that's why in the Beit HaMikdash, there's a korban yoledet. That a yoledet, the woman who gives birth, she has to give a korban. She has to give a korban for breaking an oath. But still, you know, this is what it means to light Shabbos candles. Okay, so if you realize how sad you'd be, how brokenhearted you'd be if you didn't light Shabbos candles, then why aren't you equivalently happy that you did light Shabbos candles? Just stop and think, how would I feel if I didn't light Shabbos candles? Oh Hashem, you enabled me to light Shabbos candles? Thank you so much. This is clinging to Hashem's light. And we said oftentimes, at least in two different instances, that a woman that lights Shabbos candles, she has the power of the high priest at the base of Mikdash that's lighting the holy menorah. She should be happy. Or something else, guys. Okay, take a God-fearing young man, a man with Yirat Shamayim. How would you feel if you were coerced, all types of circumstances, and you did not succeed here at sundown, and you didn't put on tefillin today? A day went past without tefillin. You'd be brokenhearted. Broken. Oh my goodness. What happened? A day without tefillin? How could I happen? What happened? You start reviewing what happened. This one called you, and this one had you, an emergency here, an emergency there, and you had to take a child somewhere, here, there, and you couldn't put on tefillin? You couldn't put on tefillin? Heaven forbid. So you know how brokenhearted you'd be, guys. So if we'd be so brokenhearted that we'd have a chance to put on tefillin, why aren't we singing and dancing when we did have a chance to put on tefillin? And for those of us that put on tefillin, Rashi tefillin, and Rabbeinu Tam tefillin, or those that haven't learned with the tefillin, sing and dance all day long. This is the light of a mitzvah. When you realize that you've got those tefillin on your head and on your arm, that is divine light. You are one with Hashem. The mitzvah is divine light. The divine light is Hashem. That's Hashem's presence right there. There's no difference between wrapping. We wrap our minds and our brains, our hearts. That's why we wrap the straps of tefillin. We wrap ourselves in divine light. You think the straps, it's just animal skin? No, it's uplifting. It's the light of Hashem. This is a tikkun olam. This is correcting the whole world. So why aren't we unhappy? Just think how unhappy we'd be if we didn't have the mitzvah. So now that we did do the mitzvah, we should be singing and dancing all day long. If a person knew what it meant to put on tefillin, if a person knew what it put on tefillin was, he'd be happy, he'd be singing and dancing to 120 years old. That's what we sing in Hebrew. Haya sameach, sameach beroked ad 120 shana. He'd be happy and dancing till 120 years. That is what puts the genuine smile on your face. When you realize that a mitzvah is Hashem's divine light, and Hashem gives us the privilege of clinging to divine light, it's mind-boggling. It's awesome. So you know what it means when a Jew is not happy? Now we can understand why Rabbi Nachman used the language Yizhir. He warned. Rabbi Natan Wright, he wrote this part in the Rebbe's name, that Rabbi Nachman warned us to be happy. Why did Rabbi Nachman warn us to be happy? Just imagine that the king gives you a gift. The king takes out of his royal pocket his diamond-studded fountain pen, and he says, my beloved son, this is for you. Look at the king's fountain pen. Doesn't even have a price to it. Diamond-studded fountain pen. And person takes the king's fountain pen, and he says, no big deal, your majesty. Whoop, throws it over his shoulder. What bigger insult to the king? What bigger insult to the king? When Hashem gives us His divine light, Hashem gives us the Torah to learn. Hashem gives us tzitzis. We're at tzitzis all day long. Have you ever seen little 3-year-old Hasidic kids? When they get their tzitzis, they put on their tzitzis for the first time. They sing a song. They sing a song, how good it is to be tzitzis. Tzitzis, tzitzis, tzitzis. Hashem gave me tzitzis, 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 tzitzis. They walk around, they're holding their tzitzis. Hashem gave me tzitzis. That's what he teaches. Hashem gave us. Shtabach Shmolad. Blessed be His name forever. Hashem gave us tzitzis. Walk around all day long in divine light. I don't know if you guys are too young, but remember those of us our age. Remember we were little kids and we had the 2 transistor radios that couldn't have such good reception, and we take a piece of wire and put it on the 2 transistor radios so the reception would be better. Okay, if one little wire makes the reception better, then how about 8 wires in each corner? Times 4, 32. To get our reception. Divine light. That's divine light. All day long. Do it all day long. You have your beard. Your payas. That's mitzvahs in the Torah. You don't shave your beard with a razor. You're doing a mitzvah in the Torah. You're walking around with a mitzvah all day long. You walk around with emunah in your heart. Emunah in your heart is one of the 6 permanent mitzvahs that the Ber Halacha talks about right at the beginning of the Shulchan Aruch. Look in Siman Aleph, Orach Chaim, right now, beginning of Shulchan Aruch. Person walks around with the love in Hashem's heart, walking around with Hashem's light in his heart. With the permanent mitzvahs, the 6 permanent mitzvahs, walk around the mitzvah. We have tefillin, tzitzis, tefillah, every word of tefillah, every word of Torah. And Hashem gives us these gifts all day long. Each gift is priceless. Do you know the reward that a Jew accrues in 24 hours of living on earth? 24 hours of living? Every word of a blessing, he says, Baruch Atah Hashem, is allowed to say Hashem's name. Wow. Hashem gives us His divine light. And we're not happy? We're not happy? So what if all the problems in the world, the worst problems we could think of, compared to the soul, it's all peripheral aggravation. It's not part of our souls. The only thing that our soul cares about is clinging to Hashem. Financial problems, Hashem's always going to feed us. Health problems, Hashem will take care of us. And a person's going to live until the last minute of his allotment, his life's allotment anyway, so why worry? Okay. The only thing your soul cares about is clinging to Hashem. But yet, we don't give the soul the only thing that the soul cares about, and that's clinging to Hashem. And that's a punishment to the soul, and that's why we don't have a genuine smile on our face, because we don't give our souls reward. Our souls need a connection to Hashem, and that's a genuine smile. Learning what a mitzvah is, appreciating what a mitzvah is, and putting our own high price tag on a mitzvah. And what's our own price tag on a mitzvah? That once we've done a mitzvah, we should know that there is no remuneration in the entire physical world that can pay for one small mitzvah. There is no amenity in the entire material world that can pay for one line of Gemara, for one blessing in the morning. Shelo asani avid. Thank you, Hashem, for not making me a slave. Person wakes up in the morning and says that. Person opens up his eyes in the morning and says, Moidani lefanecha. The first thing he does is thank Hashem. Wow, it's awesome. It's awesome. It's so great. From the morning he wakes up and to the moment he goes to bed. When he goes to bed, he wakes up with emunah and gratitude. He goes to bed with emunah and gratitude. Before he closes his eyes, he says, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu. He makes the greatest testimony of faith in the Jewish religion, with the Shema. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Wow. We live a great life, beloved brothers and sisters. We live a great life. The Yetzer tries to tell us that we don't, but he's a liar. The Yetzer has what's called the great crater. He takes a little clogged port on a person's body and says it's a tragedy. It's as if the example here's of a woman that wakes up in the morning, she looks in the mirror, and she sees a blackhead on her nose. The Yetzer says the world has come to an end. No, young lady, the world has not come to an end. Take a little batter or do something. You get rid of it. Cosmetician will take care of it. But you have another 999 million pores in your body that are not unclogged. Hashem has given us such a good life. Hashem gives us the privilege of doing mitzvot from the morning until night, where every mitzvah is priceless. Let's focus on our mitzvot. Let this be the focus of our new year, and then we're bound to get that genuine smile on our face. And by virtue of strengthening ourselves in mitzvot and focusing on mitzvot, we will certainly receive many more mitzvot, including all the mitzvot that we can only perform in our rebuilt holy temple that Hashem should build speedily in our days. Amen. Gemar Chatima Tova. Everyone should be inscribed in the book of long life for a wonderful new year. Amen. Amen.